Another hot day. It reached 38 degrees, everyone. It's getting rather desperate. Um, I've just been holed up inside for most of the second half of the day. I didn't want to be exposed to it. I didn't want to be out in it. It's already bad enough within the house. You can probably hear that whirring fan, and it says 30 degrees. That's crazy. It's supposed to be 26 outside. It's supposed to have started raining, but this is registering 30 degrees. It's 9:04 p.m. I'm gonna go to bed soon. It's gonna be hard to sleep with this weather. So, let's see. I've been really pissed today. Pissed in terms of government inaction around the anti-immigration rallies planned for Sydney and Melbourne. Pissed that they can ban pro-Palestine rallies, alleging that they give rise to anti-Semitism when there's no direct link. Yeah? And not do the same for these really pernicious marches in this state, at least in New South Wales. It's you can't deal with one form of hate and racism without dealing with all of them. And in particular, I can think of the attacks. There's a real pattern on Indian Australians in multiple cities across Australia, and also Indian migrants. Instead, they're reduced to something isolated, but people have died. Or they've ended up with like brain damage and been in hospital. It's just a flagrant disregard. I find it phenomenal. And there's so much online harassment as well, and slurs and bullying against the community that doesn't make the headlines. So I just felt really infuriated today, and this is supposed to be a day of remembrance, right? It's been declared as the National Day of Remembrance because it's a week on from the Bondi Massacre, the terrorist attack. But then assigning your special envoy's report a special status to supposedly crack down on anti-Semitism, and arguably that's not actually what it's doing. As a report, it's actually trying to find ways to monitor even our universities to see if we're saying things that are reputedly anti-Semitic or teaching things. That's different. To me, it's absurd. These two radicalized men who had connections transnationally and with ISIS, by the looks of it, and were known to ASIO, they didn't get these ideas from a university. Where is the critical thinking amongst those of us in the general public that hold these views about immigrants, but also make these blanket statements, and those in power? It's just the consequences of what has been unleashed just in 1 week. Instead of coming together as a community, I mean, people have been doing that in their grieving and support. You see that, but in terms of the political landscape, it's really worrying. So I spent a long time feeling really alarmed, and I just think that it makes things more dangerous for a whole swathe of people in our community when we respond like this. That said, it also speaks to a sense of paralysis, right? Like, how do we really address the multiple racisms in this country? How can I feel safe, in the knowledge that, for example, my significant other or friends as well is not going to be thumped in public, which has already happened before? Probably under the proviso that they're assumed to be South Asian, which they're not, right? But these are the flow-on effects, and people get aggressed in public. And we're supposed to just roll with the punches? There are so many ways in which racism expresses itself. When is going to be the wake-up call, the true one? So frustrating, and it's even hard for me to articulate. And so I was talking to my significant other earlier about this, not wanting to traumatize them, but trying to articulate something, because I just felt so angry and so overwhelmed. So angry that a week later, people like Pauline Hanson and Barnaby Joyce are going to be joining these anti-immigration marches. It's got nothing to do with immigration. They're using it. They're using racism, including in light of the Bondi massacre. Jewish community people have condemned these anti-immigration marches. But what gives? Why doesn't the Minsk government do more than just saying you're urged not to attend? It's an unauthorized march. They could be coming down with an order from the High Court. Much the same way as they've banned any kind of action for Palestine in terms of political marches for the next 3 months. It's really warped. And, I support people in the Jewish community. I grieve along with them, and I know that they don't feel safe. But there's a lot of people in the community that, we don't feel safe and nothing is done. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I made a few posts because I think that there's some people out there that don't know the extent of this, especially for Indian Australian community and Indian migrants. And someone's got to speak up. There are people who do. There's a great scholar who does so much documentation of this, Sukmani Korana. And it's because of her work that I'm aware of quite a lot of the incidences as well. But, of course, I pay attention to this because I have connections with India, and I'm anti-racist. I can see the connections. I'm also someone that, albeit phenotypically white, have at different times of my life been seen as un-Australian or not suitably Australian, because of my mixed background. And it appalls me that anyone would be at risk. And the Bondi incident, the massacre, has just highlighted that for me. Why can't people see it? Beyond a select few, it seems. With the question of the special envoy and the definitions of anti-Semitism and the recommendations being handed down by the special envoy, there's a lot of people in the public that are very cynical about it, from what I can tell. But what does that represent for the influence of those sorts of people who are actually avowedly pro-Israel and have been linked to Advance Australia, which is a conservative right-wing group? It's just alarming. It's so alarming. How can this proceed? Anyway, my point here isn't to stress people, but it is to make some emphatic points. And I don't want to get lost with despair or anything like that. I think this should be a time of peace. As Christmas comes up, we've just had this awful thing happen on Hanukkah. I want all the noise to go away and the important things to be prioritized. I actually have some, further up the line, some Ashkenazi Jewish heritage as well. I mean, we're such a hodgepodge. That's not unusual for people who are in colonial India, by the way. You know, that they have Jewish blood as well, so to speak. Jewish lineage. Don't like that word blood. People use it as shorthand, but it's not really accurate. So, yeah. Imagine there's no heaven. Well, it's not about a problem with religion, John Lennon. It's about ideology being weaponized.